Today's cardinal lesson is going to talk about the widow and widower benefits of Social Security, the surviving spouse. And so if you're the person who survives and you're the surviving spouse, or you might be, this is going to be of interest because it's going to talk about what your Social Security benefit is. If you're the person who passes away or who might pass away, this matters for your estate planning. Many folks discover that there's essentially a life insurance benefit built into Social Security where there's going to be something there for your surviving spouse. I want you to be careful relying on that because there's a bunch of conditions around this stuff that I'm going to go over in a sec. And I want to speak for just a second about the term widow and widower. I mean, I've been aware and studying Social Security my whole adult life. That's my profession. And just those two words are just kind of weird. And my young associate, who is female, just coming into me and we're preparing to do this lesson. And it's like, man, she went all over the place looking. Couldn't we just come up with one term to describe the person whose spouse died and they still survived better than having widow and widower? I mean, I'm fine if it was just widow, and that could be a man or a woman. But a widower, to me, is a man by definition. But I think if you take the word widower and you said, well, he makes widows. So, and he's not. He's the surviving spouse. It's confusing. So the purposes of this, and this is the way Social Security defines them, so we're going to have to run with what they say. So talking about Social Security benefits for widows or widowers. Now, the first point that we want to make up here is this is going to be based, this benefit, if your spouse passed away, it's going to be based upon the surviving spouse's full retirement age, which for most people that haven't done Social Security yet, that's 67. That's going to be the full retirement age for you, the survivor, not of the person, your spouse, who passed away. So the whole basis of this thing is going to be your age 67. Now, the second point with this is that you're not going to get anything. You can't get a benefit until you're age 60 as the surviving spouse. So we've had many, mostly women, but certainly some men call in and we're talking to them and they're asking questions and they've written in on our blog and they're asked, my husband died, I'm 52, what can I get from Social Security? And the answer to that is nothing till you're 60. Okay, you can't get, because this is based on your full retirement age, which is most likely 67, but you can get a reduced benefit starting at age 60. And so it really gets down to, that's why a person carries life insurance. And that's why people need life insurance, because if your spouse dies while you're young and you were relying on an income and you need survival money, that's what life insurance is for. So that's not going to do any good to tell these people calling in that have already suffered the loss, and maybe they had life insurance. They're just looking for something more from Social Security. There's going to be nothing comes out of this widower benefit until the person receiving the Social Security checks is age 60 or more. Now, this person, this is only going to be of benefit if they were going to rely on their spouse's earnings history for filing anyhow. So if you take like my wife and me, I'm 62, she's 61, and if I were to die, she would be relying on this benefit. She probably wouldn't file at 61 because I've got substantial life insurance and she would have the luxury of waiting. So she'd probably wait till she's 67 to apply for the benefit, and then she would get my full Social Security check of whatever that would have been at 67 if I'd have made it that far. So because she doesn't really have a substantial earnings history, she's going to rely on my earnings history, and we're still going to get 2 checks when I retire or when I claim Social Security. She's going to get hers based on my earnings history. So she would be a candidate for this. If you have a married couple who both of them work and both of them have a substantial earnings history, then this widower benefits, you can't have both. You can't get your own Social Security check and be the surviving spouse filing against your deceased spouse. You got to do one or the other. So I just want people to understand this isn't something you're going to get and you're going to want to file for if you've got your own earnings history to rely upon. Okay? Now, people that are 60, I can give you another example. Is we have a young lady who's not a young lady anymore. She was a young lady when she was in our wedding, and she stood up with my wife and I, and she had her husband, who was older, passed away just while we were all in our 30s, and he was in his late 40s. And just recently, when they all turned 60, she's the same age as my wife. She's not remarried. She's still working and kind of fallen a little bit on hard times. I was able to go through and counsel her and put her. She's getting a check now, starting at age 60, for $1,800 a month, based upon his earnings history. He died 22 years ago. So there's a lot of benefits, and for people like that, she started that exactly at age 60. Now, the third point that I want to go over up here has to do with people who both spouses are still alive. They're in their late 60s or beyond, 70s, 80s, 90s, and they're collecting 2 checks. One of them passes away. Now, what happens to the survivor's checks? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you is they're going to go from 2 checks to 1 check. So this is going to create a reduction in income for that household. And this is something that many people, when they do retirement planning, they buy life insurance. A lot of times it doesn't need to be a huge amount, but they buy life insurance to cover this. Because if you just took an example, let's say that, my Social Security check, let's say that we're 75 and 74, and I'm collecting a big Social Security check. My spouse is collecting a little less than half of mine. And so you just put those 2 numbers together, say $3,000 a month and $1,400 a month. So we're collecting $4,400 a month every month. I die, her $1,400 check goes away. She just gets the $3,000 a month that was my check. So she's going to have a $1,400 a month loss of income or household income. If she dies, it's the same thing. If she dies before me, I still get my $3,000 a month. Her $1,400 check goes away. So for people that are already on Social Security, the widow or widower's benefit is really not a benefit. It's a reduction to where just the larger Social Security check is going to continue on. So I hope this has helped educate you a bit, helped you do some estate planning, maybe got you thinking a little bit about life insurance as a solution for this. I'm Hans Scheil, and I thank you for listening.